How's everybody doing out there? Can everybody hear me all right? Joe, how you doing this morning? Good morning so far. Goyle, how you doing, buddy? Ryan, how you doing? Pounding coffees. I got my I've got my Bang energy drink. I don't drink coffee. What's up, Goyle? How you doing, buddy? What's up? Questions. Ask the questions. I'm just checking YouTube and everywhere, making sure everything's running right. Looking good. You can ask this show whatever you want. We can talk about. I go from here. I go till 11 o'clock, and then we go into the VIP group from 11:15 till 12:15 or so. But yeah, you can ask DFS, redraft, dynasty, whatever. I'm live in the DFS group, Dynasty group, YouTube, Twitch, live everywhere, so we can talk about anything. Doing a Minshew lineup for GPP. Which wide receiver would you want to pair with him? Honestly, it can be any of the three. Chark, DD, or even Conley, which I mostly use. I would mostly use DD for cash if I was going to use him anywhere. I think that Chark right now looks like he's got the biggest upside, but honestly, I've faded him everywhere this weekend. I have no Chark, I have no Gallup, I have no Hollywood Brown, I have none of those guys that went off Ross. I have none of those guys this week in any of my stuff. And I'll pull up if you guys want to see all the contests that I'm in. I have probably 18 to 20, 22, probably 22 unique lineups, and I faded those guys everywhere. Which it can always backfire, but I just don't think it's sustainable for any of those guys. Yeah, Goyle says he doesn't have any of those guys either. I mean, when it comes to a GPP, you can play anybody. I mean, anybody's really in play. You want to find that upside. I think that Dede is more of the PPR guy, but if he found that, if he finds end zone twice, then who knows? But I would probably pivot. Chark's going to be the highest owned, so I would probably play Conley myself and leverage the Chark play, but I would you can play both of them. If you think Minshew's going to have a good day, then there's a good chance that Conley and Chark, or Dede and Conley, or whatever, there's a chance two of them do. Vance, Dance, or the Walrus today? I think that Pittsburgh's going to have to get Vance McDonald more involved. I don't know, man. It's easy to think Waller's going to be that heavily utilized every week, and then it's Kansas City, so it's a toss-up for me, really. But we didn't see any pressure on Carr in that first game, so not that Kansas City can bring a lot of pressure. Their defense isn't very good, but it's hard to tell what's going to happen once there's pressure in his face. That one I'm not comfortable with on either side. I'd probably flip a coin, and then it'll be the day that the opposite guy gets 2 touchdowns. I'm flipping back and forth everywhere, making sure I don't miss any questions. I actually have a lot of DK also. While everybody else is going after the guys that hit really, really big, news just dropped that Antonio Brown will play today. While other guys are taking those guys I mentioned about Chark and Ross and Hollywood Brown and those guys that had huge weeks, I'll pivot off of them and take guys like DK in the same range with the same upside. Redraft league with depth issues at running back. Would you drop Kareem Hunt or Justice Hill or Breeze to pick up Mayfield? With depth issues, I wouldn't. I mean, maybe Breeze. You could drop Breeze for Mayfield if you want, if you think Mayfield's going to bounce back. I think he's going to be better than he was in week 1, but I wouldn't drop the running backs. Obviously, Justice Hill you could think about, but I mean it's quarterback, so you could stream all year unless it's a super flex, and then I'm definitely dropping Justice Hill for Mayfield for sure. Rick, is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it? Yeah, pretty much. So you better use it. Let's see what other news we've got. Brittany Taylor is meeting with the NFL tomorrow. Antonio Brown will play today. Mosley and Williams out for the Jets. This does make Chubb more in play in that game. 2 run stoppers gone. PPR league need to start 2. Djax, Gordon, Gallup, Kirk. Djax and Gordon for me. It's pretty easy decision for me. So there are 2 teams that secondaries, their secondaries are just horrific. Miami, obviously we've seen in week 1 their whole defense, they're not going to be able to stop much. The other one, the Giants, and especially the Cowboys and Dak play the Giants like that all the time. Dak kills the Giants. 20% of his production has come against them in 7 games. So the Gallup hype We need to see it against other teams before I'm buying into it. Castile, Justin, welcome to the stream. What? I don't really do rest of season projections, because if I was going to do rest of season projections, this is what I would do. I would literally map out every player's schedule and look at their matchups for the rest of the year. And unfortunately, I do not have the time to do that. So I'm not really going to project him out. Now, I've said since the beginning, there were some quarterback switches or players switching teams to new quarterbacks this year that just made 100% sense to me for different players' value. Joe Flacco and Cortland Sutton. When Keenum left and Flacco came in, Flacco will sling the ball. He will throw it downfield. He made John Brown relevant last year, and that leads into the second guy. John Brown and Josh Allen are like a match made in heaven, because Josh Allen has one of the highest dots out of all quarterbacks. He is going to throw it down the field. And John Brown is good down the field. Same thing with Cortland Sutton, and we've seen it in week 1. Flacco to Sutton's going to be fine. I like him. He's probably a wide receiver 2. I'm not going to give him wide receiver 1, but he can probably be a mid wide receiver 2. And I think that'll make everybody happy. I love the Kyler running it back with Ingram, Carr and Ryan stacks, running it back with Howard. Yeah, it just sucks that I play the main slate, so I'm on more the 1 and 4 o'clock game. So I wish that Atlanta-Philly game was in play for the main slate. I really like that game for fantasy points. I'm playing AB. I'm not benching him. Let's look at this. Okay, Hollywood Brown, who everybody's been low on all summer, says or plays 14 plays. 14 plays. 18% of the snaps. 14 plays, 18% of the snaps, and the guy goes off for a bajillion yards, a bajillion touchdowns, a bajillion fantasy points, and everybody freaks out. The next week, you have Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown coming in, and people are worried about whether they play them. If Hollywood Brown can beat them on 14 plays, they only threw the ball 23 times, 26 times, whatever it was. If Hollywood Brown can do that, you have to start Antonio Brown and Josh Gordon. You just have to. I mean, like, Josh Custer had a very tough decision because he had to sit like a good running back to get Brown in his lineup because it's just loaded. But, I mean, if you're not loaded, and most of us aren't, our rosters aren't loaded, we have to start them. Ashley, welcome. The team answered your start-sit question. It's up on YouTube about Njoku or Andrews. They went against me. No problem, Joseph. One of my favorite stacks, Goyle, is the Pittsburgh Seahawks game. People are playing a lot of Juju, but they're not playing a lot of anybody else on that team. So I've got a lot of Roethlisberger, James Washington, or Moncrief, or Juju, running it back with Metcalf or Carson on the other side, and some Lockett. Well, here's the thing, too. People don't realize, like, Miami was not good last year. Like, not near as good as the Patriots, but they played with them the whole game in Miami. Like, It's an in-division game, and Miami's bad, but Ryan Fitzpatrick can put up some points too. So, this ain't in Foxborough, so I'm not as that 19-point spread is big, and I'm not sure that it's going to be that bad. Where's that game at? Why am I? Did the Dolphins jump off the? Oh, there it is. Yeah, if it was in Foxborough, I'd feel much differently. We stick with Lockett over John Brown and Djax. Yeah, I think I could make an argument for Djax. I can make an argument for any three. That's really a tough one. But I probably, you've paid the most for Lockett. It's only 1 week. He only had 2 targets. They're likely going to have to throw the ball more in week 2 against the Steelers. But it's a tough one. TD heavy? Man, every time I hear D. Parker, I want to throw up. Man, I probably go with Lockett, but if you have other question marks at flex or whatever, then I would consider either John Brown or Djax. The problem is that they're all obviously boom or bust. There's not one guy that's like super safe. Brown might end up being safe target-wise because of what else is on that team, but I don't trust that yet. Yeah, I can't. Marlon Mack is my flex. Yeah, then I would struggle over it, but I would have Lockett in there probably, and then unfortunately have the other 2 guys sitting. But that's a tough one for sure. And if you don't use those other guys, you're gonna lose them. So don't use it, you lose it. Remember that. Paul. If Fitz goes for 250 and 2 touchdowns, it's almost impossible for Parker not to hit value. See, I don't agree with you. It could be Jakeem Grant. It can be Kenyon Drake out of the backfield. It can be Preston Williams. They've got such a hodgepodge of guys, but it could be, and nobody could hit. It could just be 1 touchdown to this guy, 1 to the other. There's a lot of plays that I would much, much rather have. They were losing 59-10 last week, and he got like 75 yards, but it's all forced. No, Paul. Nobody else is playing them, so thanks for the donation. Paul asks, is anybody else playing Ty Montgomery and Russell Shepard this week for DFS? Mitch Wade says Cup or AB. Is that literally your only option? I'm going AB. Mac or D. Will. D. Will, just because I'm not sure. Well, we know D. Will is going to be involved in the passing game. So I don't know how that game script's going to go. Obviously, the Titans last week looked great against the Browns. This is in division, but if the Colts are behind, I don't know if Mac's going to be in the game plan. But the Cup AB one, to me, it depends on what you need. If you look at your lineup and you need an upside, then it's AB. If you need a floor out of your guy, then it's Cup. So that's how I would decide in your position. McCoy or Lockett, it's Lockett easy for me. Mac or Cup at flex. Oh, well, okay. If we're talking pick 3, I'm picking Cup, AB, and Williams. Now that I understand your question, that makes it pretty easy for me. Cup, AB, and Williams. Sit Mac. And the only reason why is because all those other 3 guys, is it PPR? That matters. Because if it's PPR, then I'm going Williams, Cup, and AB. If it's standard, I'm going Cup, AB, and Mac. Good morning, Rob. This is awesome. I've got the 4 different platforms, everything streaming. We got the DFS group going with questions coming in there. We've got the Dynasty group with questions coming in there. Goyle, I keep finding Houston in mine. In my GPPs, I paid up some for Bears, Ravens, and Patriots. Let me get into my DraftKings here. Morning, party people, Craig says. How you doing? Yeah, Mitch, if it's PPR, then I go with the back that's catching the ball out of the backfield. Could easily have a long touchdown in that game, too, against the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are very good. Looked better than, the other night than I thought they would, but I'm still not buying into it. And then I go AB and Cup. Let's see. Lineups. Dude, I think I have a lot of Houston against Minshew. I do have some Titans against the Colts. Cowboys, Patriots, Texans, Ravens. That one's got the Cardinals in it. It's probably just a pump play. Texans, Cowboys, Patriots, Ravens. Bengals, Patriots, 49ers. Did I really not have? Apparently I didn't have any Bears, but I have a lot of Texans and Patriots. I should probably move some of those off and counter with some other stuff. Maybe I'll tinker a little bit before game because I do have a lot of Texans. My cash lineup has Titans, Texans, Cowboys, yeah. I'm going Lockett easy there, John. Ryan, it depends on what you're playing. If you're playing cash games, if you're playing head-to-heads, double-ups, 50-50s, whatever, then Jacobs is a must. You have to put him in. You can't fade him. Confirmation on Antonio Brown. So in cash, you have to play him. In GPP, it's good to fade him. I'm light on him, and you have to play him in cash. He's a free square. You have to play him in cash. If you don't play him in cash, you're playing cash wrong. That's crazy. Good thing I don't have a lot of that game in my DFS lineups, but that Matt says possible pop-up heavy rains in Miami with 10 to 15 mile an hour winds and feels like 100 degrees on the field. So take that as what you want. That could be good for defenses. That could be bad for offenses. It could be good for running games. Sony Michel's where I'm heavy at. Yep, and then Nick Goyle pops up, says, I already felt like a Sony game. This makes it even more so. Could be Damian Harris game. They might have all the starters out by halftime. Who knows? Varen over on YouTube, how you doing? Matt Wilson, tell me if you're with me, man. Josh Jacobs has to be in the cash lineup. I think Josh Jacobs is the one must, and then Alvin Kamara is not far behind. Like, I would start every cash lineup that you're trying to build. I only build one cash lineup. I use it everywhere. But in cash, I would start with Jacobs and Kamara. Got that cotton candy, Paul. Yeah, 4,700 is just too cheap, and the other thing is he's going to be like 80% owned in cash games. Goyle, in cash games, it's an ownership thing too. He's cheap at 4,700, so you can get salary relief there. He's going to be used more in the passing game, but he's going to be too highly owned. You skip him, and it's going to screw you. Every big pro that I've seen says to use like Jacobs is a must, a free card. See, I'm never paying up in cash. Yeah, Matt, I agree. I faded him almost 100% in GPP, but in cash, I think he's a must play. Ryan says, how are Mahomes' 400 yards going to be allocated? This offense is going to run through three guys, and it's going to be Williams in the passing game, Williams, Kelsey, and Watkins, and I'm fading Hardman. Mecole is faded. See, I'm never starting Mahomes in cash. I'm never paying up in cash. D-Jax at Atlanta or John Ross at home to San Francisco. I'm playing D-Jax. I got to see more than one game from John Ross. Obviously, both are boom and bust, so I go with the veteran with the better quarterback. And help on the outside. Yep, it's definitely the cotton candy, Paul. I got my first case of birthday cake in this week, though. And I like it. Breda or Corey Davis in the flex, 0.5 PPR. I'm going Corey Davis. His week one matchup was gross. Denzel Ward's pretty good. So he wasn't highly targeted. That's not going to continue. Breda, I actually think, like, I've been telling everybody all week to pick up Raheem Mostert. I think he's going to be more involved than people think. I don't think Breda is going to just go in and get all the carries. So I'm never paying up that much in cash. I'm jamming in running back touches and I'm never paying up at quarterback and rarely ever at tight end. I mean, rarely. I'd say never, but rarely. Josh Allen's my guy. There's like no reason not to play Josh Allen at 5,300. If you think that the Chiefs are going to kill the Raiders, then there's no reason to play Mahomes because he could. I mean, getting 2 touchdowns and 300 yards out of him isn't as good as getting, 302 that you could get out of Josh Allen or Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a safer cash play to me. Evan Ingram is a must start this week at tight end. Absolutely. In redraft or dynasty, he's not a must start in DFS though. There's a lot of value. Like 2019 might be the year of the tight end. And I could not quit plugging in TJ Hawkinson. I have so much Hawkinson. It's crazy. I should probably change some of those. Not be too overweight. But then again, I should probably go on a diet so I'm not overweight too. Over on YouTube, if you're watching, we ask away your questions. We had the D Jackson or John Ross question over on YouTube. Love getting YouTube involved. Yeah, Waller. Well, see, but Waller's going to be so highly owned that in my GPPs, I pivoted off of him. My cash lineup didn't end up having him in it just because I didn't want 3 Raiders in my cash lineup. AJ Brown's going to be good. I've been telling everybody, but Corey Davis is going to be good too. But for the first time, Matt, in a while, Tennessee, when one guy got shut down, other guys actually stepped up, which was nice to see. And, obviously having Walker back helps. Yeah, it's that price tag, though. It's such a volatile position. I'm not going to pay up at tight end a ton when it's such a volatile position. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier on your wide receiver 1 if the other guys step up and help so they don't double you all the time, which was nice to see A.J. Brown just come out and catch some passes and help that offense. It helps that entire offense. Yeah, Waller's only 3,300, but he's going to be so highly owned in GPPs that I have zero problems pivoting off of him and going to Hawkinson or even Fant at under 3. And if I'm paying up, it's definitely going to be Ingram or Kelsey. Yeah, Nick says he likes OBJ for the full slate. He will be on a mission. Depends on if he's looking at his watch or not. Paul says, remember when people thought AJB was a slot-only guy? Pepperidge Farm does. I don't know what Pepperidge Farm, what that connection is. I have no idea. I've been saying all summer that whole Titans offense is undervalued. Especially Dynasty. If Mariota isn't good, they're going to move on at quarterback for sure. Oh, do we have some news? I got to get my Discord up where Mr. Rob Sullivan is feeding me any updates as we go. So I don't, forget to tell you guys anything. Darnold is going to be out 3 to 7 weeks. I knew he was going to be out for longer than 1. That mono is nasty, man, and his energy is going to be zapped for a while, so I'm absolutely buying Corey Davis. If you can go out and trade for Corey Davis right now in Dynasty, I would do it in a heartbeat. We're talking about year 3. He's finally got some help, it looks like, some solid help. And Mariota was actually accurate last year. They just weren't throwing a lot, and they weren't real deep. But he's going to command 25% to 30% of this passing game in Tennessee. So he's going to get a high percentage of the targets, and I think he'll be better. Dude, Matt, that is so funny that you say that because I have some Dion in some of my GPP lineups for sure. Oh, poor Joe says Cam and Darnold are my QBs. One is sick with mono and the other one dresses like an old lady. Yes, the overreaction to everything in Dynasty is real. Everybody thinks that just because a guy had a big game on last week that he's like gonna be a star. It's just not the case. Landing spots, like they work themselves out. Talent works itself out. Yeah, that the Monday games never factor in, but you don't normally have a bunch of guys that weren't expected to score a bunch of points on Monday and then be underpriced on Thursday or the next week when, their games come out. So, the Wallers, the Jacobs, and Tyrell Williams are all underpriced. I think Jacobs and really Jacobs and one of either of the other two are a must. I went with Williams in my cash lineup just because I didn't like a lot of the other receivers in that range. But you can go Waller, you can, in the cash games. I'm fading most of them in GPPs though. Redraft, it's a great time to, if you have Marquise Brown, to send him for a guy like Corey Davis or another guy like Lockett that only got 2 targets, or any of these names that we've been talking about for 6 months, and then this guy comes in and has a big week. It's a perfect time to just send them a trade offer for that guy for one of the veterans that haven't that didn't get many targets or catches in week 1. The only one that I'm buying into a little bit, and it hurts because I've been very anti John Ross, but this is a guy going into his 3rd year. Okay, I didn't like him before, so I didn't give up on him before because I didn't like him when he came in. But he's going into his 3rd year, so that's a guy that I can kind of buy into having some productivity. Obviously, when AJ Green comes back, he's not going to put up these numbers. So if you can trade him, then he's not a bad guy to trade right now in redraft. But when it comes to Hollywood Brown doing that, I mean, it was on 14 snaps. There's no way that he's going to stay that efficient. That whole offense isn't going to stay that efficient. DJ Chark, they had a whole quarterback switch in the middle of that game, so see what happens there. What would you try to offer for Davis in terms of pick value in Dynasty? Well, I mean, you could literally start with a 2nd rounder right now, I think. I think a lot of people that have Corey Davis are frustrated. You could send a 2nd rounder and see what they say. You want to do it before this game, though. Because even if he gets anything, even if it's an average day, then they're going to be like, ooh, it wasn't as bad. The overreaction to the upside on daily for John Ross is nuts. I mean, the upside's there, obviously. We saw it last week, but I'm fading him because he's just as likely to go, 2 for 30 and no touchdowns as he is what he did last week. So, more likely. But those guys are going to be so highly owned. Guys offering me Davis in a late 2nd for Fournette in a 14-team Superflex start 2 tight end league. I think right now you can. That's a tough one because obviously your running backs are going to have more value in a 14-team league. So I'd probably stay with Fournette there just because of that fact of, the 2 extra teams makes it harder to have solid running backs. We got 15 more minutes, and then we move over the stream over to the VIP group for the last, hour to hour and 15 minutes leading up to kickoff. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask those bad boys. Yes, I definitely have to adjust some of my lineups for sure. I have way too much of a couple different guys. So I got to make some changes. I'm 74% Hawkinson, and that's just, he'll definitely go for 0. My last minute tweaking. If you want to lose, then not having running backs in a 14-team league would be a way to go. So I wouldn't be. I'm not betting. I'm not a betting guy. I don't give any advice on betting, so I can't answer that, Paul. I don't bet on the games. I'll make bets on players, like we've done, but I don't bet on the games. Too much funny stuff happens. Too much funny stuff happens with all of it, but $5 to $20 bet here or there on the stream is fun. Gus Edwards or Justice Hill in GPP, and do we like KJ this week? Uh, yeah, I'm not playing. I have zero Edwards or Justice Hill. I'm not playing either of those guys. I don't see the point. I think Mark Ingram's going to get the majority of the run there, and they're waiting on second half. So I'm not playing either of those guys. And then it would be Gus Edwards if I did, just because I think he's going to get the carries. And do we like KJ this week? I do. My problem is that I feel like they're literally trying to just mimic the Patriots. Keyshawn Johnson or Torrey Holt for week 2. Throw me the damn ball. Keyshawn Johnson's who I would go with. Good luck in your fantasy league, and I appreciate you time traveling to the future to ask that question. He says it's 2003. He's doing a MySpace fantasy league. That's the year I graduated high school, and it was all Yahoo for me. I never did a MySpace fantasy league, so that's new for me. I don't know about those. If I play AB, would you sit Djax, TY, or John Brown? John Brown. Matt says Josh Brown. Well, not the first time that the Bears lost by 28, so... Carry on Allen Robinson or Jarvis as flex. I would play Allen Robinson myself because I know he's going to be the guy. Well, carry on. Man, I just wish I knew what the Lions were going to do because carry on's the what I want to say. But Jesus, I just don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, for me, Jarvis isn't it. It's between Carrion and Robinson. I wish we could make C.J. Anderson disappear. Probably Robinson. How are you feeling about starting Joe Mixon, assuming he plays? I have to choose between him, Gio, Djax, Fuller, and Crowder. How fast Crowder's value kind of dipped, right? I mean, 18 targets last week, and then boom, your quarterback's out for 3 to 7 weeks, and now we don't know what to do with Crowder. I do like Fuller. Boye's out for Jacksonville, so I do like him, but I mean, I have to think that they're only playing Mixon if he can play, but it's a tough spot. So if you're risk adverse, then I start Mixon. If you're worried about it, then I would go with Djax or Fuller, and then without Boye on the field and Ramsey covering Hopkins, Fuller might be the play for me. That's how I always try to figure it out when I have a situation like that. Is like, how does my lineup stack up against my opponent? Do I feel comfortable that I can beat him with a guy that has a floor? So I think Fuller has a decent floor in that game but he has upside too. Djax is boom or bust. Like, if you need a huge day out of that guy, that spot, then Djax might be the guy. All right, we've got 8 minutes before we move over to the VIP group, and then we will, I'll still take tags on the group. If you have questions, I'll still try to answer those before game time. Probably need a high floor in general. Yeah, honestly, Djax and Fuller aren't much different, but if Ramsey plays Hopkins tough, then Fuller might get a lot more work, which, he gets work anyway when he's on the field. But Ryan, I may have lost what your question was. I see you say, or Eckler too, maybe. So, before we go, I want to tell everybody I appreciate you guys stopping out. Obviously, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube. We've had questions coming from over there. We are in the Dynasty Facebook group. We are in the DFS Facebook group, and on the page. So we've, had a lot of action this morning. Want to wish everybody good luck in their upcoming matchups today. DFS, if you're playing, good luck. Want everybody to win some money. Any last minute questions? We've got 5 minutes. If you guys want to have me answer anything else or just talk about anything before we sign off, then ask now. By the way, these beautiful new Roto Heat shirts came in. So if you've got a shirt coming, I'm going to get them out early next week. Might be midweek. I keep forgetting I have a huge meeting on Tuesday, so that's like my number one priority. But I will get these out as soon as possible. Paul says he's playing Ty Montgomery. You play him, fire him up if that's what you want. I wouldn't. I would save my monies. If it hits, though, you'll be one of the only ones playing them, so it could work out. All right, I think that's going to make it a day. Good luck on Sunday. Some of you guys I will see over in the VIP group. We'll be over there for the next for the next hour and 15 or hour and 30 somewhat. Talking start sits, more news, all the inactives will be out, and we will be up and running.